Hey there, it's me again. It's quiet time, and a lot of times during quiet time, once the kids are doing something peaceful in their rooms, I like to make another cup of coffee and just go for a tour around the yard, look at the growing things, and kind of make a hit list for any of the gardening chores that I should try to do in the afternoon. Want to come? All these flowers that you see next to me are my kids' little flower gardens. The little guy planted one that is specifically all different types of flowers that pollinators especially like. It's a garden for the bees. And then over here, all of these sunflowers. This is my daughter's garden for the birds. They are her absolute favorite. And all kinds of wonderful goodness in here. I love these little gardens, and the kids had so much fun with them. The front flower garden is really growing up right now. One goal that I have this year is to plant more flowers that bloom in August. But I'm loving these glads and this adorable little lily. I happen to see some bulbs, of all things, in the dollar store this spring. That is a dollar store grab bag bulb, and it is beautiful. I love it. Now, one thing that I specifically want to get a chance to check on, lately the grapevines that I planted this spring, every spring I start some grapevines from cuttings that I order. I'm trying to build out our vineyard with a lot of different wonderful varieties that grow nicely here in Maine. We're in zone 5A. And so finding grape varieties that are great for eating, great for winemaking, for making juice and canning juice. I'm trying to build out our collection of varieties. And so I'm headed down to go check on the grapevines. I want to make sure they're not getting hit too hard by the Japanese beetles, which are such a problem at the end of July and beginning of August here in Maine. You can see that I've got the grapevines inside these blue, they're called Blue X tubes. They're grow tubes that are specifically designed for growing things like grapevines, and they do an amazing job of boosting growth in the first year. Last year I actually measured the growth on all of my grapevines and found that it really was on average about 90% higher that the vines I planted inside a Blue X vine grew compared to the ones that I didn't use, the grow tubes. And look, you'll see the damage that the Japanese beetles have been doing over the last week. I keep coming out and trying to control them, and they just keep coming. So you know what we're going to do with these nasties? I need to go mix up a batch of PyGanic. Look, this grapevine is even worse. Oh, this makes me mad. Holy moly. This is the worst I've seen yet. Now, you know me, I do not use chemicals in my garden. If it takes something that's not organic, then I'm just not going to do it. I either find a way to control it, or we're not going to grow that crop. Not growing grapevines is not an option, and I know that I can control these nasty things using organic methods. PyGanic is my favorite way. And so I'm going to show you how to mix up a bottle of PyGanic, which is OMRI-certified, and it is for use in organic gardens. And we're going to come spray these horrible things. All right, I'm back. I've got my bottle of PyGanic. Now, this is naturally derived. It's made of pyrethrins, which are derived from chrysanthemums. It is certified for use in organic gardens. It's still something that you're not going to want to use when you've got animals around. Don't take your dog with you in the garden when you're spraying this. Leave your kids, outside the garden. It's not something you want to have your little ones running around while you're spraying it, because you still don't want to breathe this in. It still can create, respiratory distress. It's something that it's not a bad idea to have on a mask when you're working with it. Just because it is certified for organic gardens doesn't mean it's not really powerful. It is powerful, and that's how it does such a great job with so many pests. I find this absolutely invaluable, especially for flea beetles. It makes a big difference, and also cucumber beetles, those little yellow striped cucumber beetles, and the Japanese beetles. Those three pests in itself are worth investing in this. It is expensive. It's about $28 for this little 8-ounce container, but you dilute it way down and it's going to go a long way. Your bottle of PyGanic is going to come with instructions, and it comes in 2 different concentrations. That's really important to know. You want to make sure that you're following the directions specifically for the concentration that you purchase. All right, now, and again, I need to get myself another tripod for my phone. I lent mine out and have not replaced it yet, so sorry for the awkward filming angles. Here's my bottle of PyGanic. This sprayer bottle, I've got 32 ounces is the size, and since that's 1/4 of a gallon, it makes it really easy to stick with our dilution rate and do 1/4 of an ounce of PyGanic. And so what we're doing is just using the little squeeze top, fill it to the line where it says 1/4 ounce. It's easily marked. You can even measure out as little as 1/8 of an ounce very easily using this little measuring device. And in my bottle, I've already got my 32 ounces of water. Usually I add my PyGanic first and then the water on top of it to very easily just mix the dilution, but my utility sink is really, really dark in the basement, and even organic pesticides I keep out of my kitchen. So I put my water in first because I wanted to take you along with me on this project today. Okay, I'm going to put the PyGanic in, just emptying that pre-diluted amount. Okay, the first thing I do is screw the caps back on tightly. All right, put the lid on my spray bottle. This is not my favorite spray bottle, by the way. I don't recommend it, actually, but it's what I have right now. It works okay. When I find one I really love, I will let you know about it. This is not it, but it functions. It's going to do the job. All right, I'm going to give it just a very gentle shake to evenly disperse the PyGanic in the water. Again, this is one thing that I have found is it does kind of foam up, and that's not what you're looking to do. You're not looking to shake the heck out of it. Just give it a gentle rock back and forth. Wow, I'm sorry my ducks are so loud. They love gardening with me, and they are so chatty, and I love them, but they're not quiet. All right, let's go spray some nasty Japanese beetles. Ready? Interestingly, these seem to favor certain varieties more than others. This is a variety called Marshall Folk. I hope I'm saying that right. I might not be. And the Japanese beetles very clearly prefer this to something like a Norway red or a Swenson red, which I have right next to it and are not nearly as badly hit. You can see it's an amazing difference there. And so who can account for these horrible creatures? And I have more of a dislike for them because they are not a native species. You know, I don't want pests in my garden no matter what, but the fact that these are not native to North America, they were introduced in 1916 in a shipment of iris bulbs, apparently. They are not native. There's nothing natural about these being in North America and devastating my garden, so let's be rid of them. All right, here we go. It's hard to see in the light, but we're just spraying all of these. Spray the whole vine, even where there's not much left for foliage. And I need to pump that bottle up again. Now you'll see they are scurrying. You can tell they're in a little bit of distress. I'm not trying to show you creatures in the process of dying. It's not something that happens immediately. So this is a contact pesticide, and basically what that means is that it's something that, you know, the creature that you're targeting needs to be in contact with it while it's still damp on the plant. As with most pesticides that are certified for use in organic gardens, this isn't something that's going to last for days. It's actually not even something that's going to last for hours. And so the most effective way to use this is to come out when the creature is actively feeding on the plant. For example, with the striped cucumber beetles, I find that morning and evening are great times to go out and spray the squash plants and the cucumber plants that are affected by those beetles. At times when you see a real concentration of the pest that you're trying to control, that's a great time to go and spray. Basically, this is a pesticide that works to interrupt their life cycle. It will kill them, and it will keep them from laying viable eggs. It's something that works during the short amount of time that it is damp. Once it dries, your kids are fine to go back in the garden, you're fine to go back in the garden, your pets are fine to go back in. You know, one more thing that's important to remember as well, we all care about our pollinators, our native pollinators, our honeybees. Even an organic pesticide doesn't know the difference. It's not going to spare a honeybee as opposed to a Japanese beetle. So one really important thing to keep in mind as you're using a pesticide like PyGanic is try to spray at times of day when the honeybees and the other pollinators are not as active. The helpful thing about Japanese beetles, as much as we hate them, is that they just feed constantly from morning to night, it seems. There are multiple times of day, especially earlier in the morning and in the evening, when you're going to have a heavy concentration of Japanese beetles on your plants, but it's not a time of day when the honeybees are out quite as much. You want to be trying to do whatever you can to spare the honeybees and spare the native pollinators. If you can avoid spraying during times of day when they are most active, like the middle of the day, that's a really good measure that you can take to protect your garden, to actively protect the plants that are being hit by these devastating pests, but also not to target the honeybees and other native pollinators at the same time. So just one thing to keep in mind as you're using even an organic pesticide. I hope you found this a little bit helpful, and it's just part of organic gardening, at least here in Maine. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you everyone who has subscribed or liked videos. It all means so much to me. You can tell I'm still learning. I am loving this YouTube journey. Thank you for doing this with me, and I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.